Page 20, Valse du jour, or whatever that is. I don't speak French, so I don't know what. Some sort of a waltz, I guess. I'm going to go through my procedures for learning a new piece of music here. So the first thing I do is I look it over. I see it's sort of 2 pages long, except there's a DCL coda and a coda, so it's going to be longer than 2 pages. But all in all, it's just on pages 20 and 21. Okay. Treble and bass clef, 1 sharp in the key signature. We're in the key of G major. Make sure you can do the G major scale. And it's 3/4 time, which makes sense. If it's a waltz, it's going to be in 3/4 time. Now, again, the rhythms. They give you a rhythm up there about swinging the 8th notes. I'll do that later. Right now, I'm doing it even. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. That's what we're going to do. And the right hand, we're starting here. And it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. There, measure 5. 1 and 2 and 3. Across the. Now measure 7, going into 8. I don't want to be here and then have to go up here for the measure 10 or 9. Here, I don't want to go here. I don't want to do that. Ugh. So I'm going to change the fingering. In measure 7, you're here. I'm going to scrunch up and use thumb on the G and second finger on that dotted half note. This way my 3rd finger is all ready to go for the next measure. So again, measure 7, it's here. That's what I recommend. And then you're ready. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. Now at the bottom of page 21, the right hand, the last 4 measures, that G and B, that's tied all the way across. So you're holding that down for 4 measures while you're doing goodies in the left hand. So be careful on that one. Left hand is just 1, 2, 3. Just coming down. I'm going to form 1 there. And then rest. Now on measure 8 here. Then what's your 4th finger, and then going 5th finger here. I don't like doing that, so I want to change the fingering a little. Instead of 4th finger, I'm going to use 5th finger here for measure 8, because the measure 7 was here. I just come up and use 5th finger here. And then on measure 9, I just 2nd finger, lift up. And now I can relax and use 5. This way I can kind of feel all these. I'm not jumping around like that. I don't like that. Yeah. So again, measure 7 here, and then 5, and then 2, and then 5, like so. Yeah. Let's go down to measure 17. 1 and 2 and cross over. You're just crossing over. If you're doing the scale, this is easy. So it's 1 and 2 and 3. I mean, you may not get quite crossing over on those notes. It doesn't matter. You're crossing over the thumb to the 3rd finger, and you get that on a lot of scales. So, and then going on 1 and 2 and 3. We're going to measure 21. 1 and rest. See, we've got this rhythm going back and forth. Put the hands together, what do we get? Well, when I first put the hands together, I'm just interested in which fingers are playing at the same time. Not too concerned about hesitating or any of that. And I'm connecting everything right now. It says 1 and 2 and 3. 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. There, measure 6. That F sharp is by itself. Lift up the left hand. So you go through and put the hands together, and then go back through it a few hundred times or whatever, and slowly work out the hesitation so it's a steady beat. Keep it slow is fine, but a steady beat. And once I have that all worked out, then I'll think about the articulation. Here, lift up, lift up, lift up. It's lifting up between the phrases, just a little lift. It's like taking a breath. You're just cutting the one note a little bit short, so you got lift up. The left hand, they've got If you want to do that, you go ahead. I prefer to just connect this left hand. The staccatos, I'm hinging at the wrist. Almost. So I would just do it that way. See, it's like going from measure 2 to 3 here, going on. I'm lifting up here for the phrase, but I'm connecting that. I'm keeping that down. But hopefully you get the idea. Put it in the phrasing in the right hand, and I think you can just connect this left hand all the way through. But if you feel better with our 2-note slurs, I'll get the here, but you're connecting that. It's a different feeling, a different sound, a different interpretation. And that's really what all this is. The dynamics and articulation and tempo and all pedaling and all that, that's just interpretation. The composer is putting this in there to give you a guide on how to interpret the music. They don't tell you everything. And some of the stuff, it depends on who the composer is. Sometimes they don't seem to understand exactly what some of these articulations can do. So we have to be careful. You try things out. How do you want to interpret it? So in the left hand, do I want to do the 2-note slurs? If I like that, okay, do it. But I prefer to just connect them. If it's the right hand, I want that's what we're listening for. That's the melody. Now for the fermatas there, at the end of the 3rd line, you have here and here. You hold those out for as long as it feels right, and then you go on. If I do it with a metronome, I'm going to hold the half note at the bottom. I'm going to hold it 4 counts instead of 2. Because I got to stay with the metronome, so I hold it a certain number. But when you're playing it, you just, what feels right. Because you slow down in here. You hang on to that, let it die away a little bit, and then go back to the beginning at your regular tempo. Then, dynamics. Well, MF-MP. That tells you right there you're going to play it twice at least. MF mezzo forte, moderately loud, that's the melody. This, and then keep that soft. And then when you get down to measure 17, so. Come up soft, come up to about a moderately soft. Now you're loud. It's the right hand we want to hear. The left hand's in the background. Now when you get over to what measure 33, 34, the last 2 measures of that line, you come back down about a moderately soft. Really soft in the left hand. Because you're going to go back to the beginning, and now MP is moderately soft, mezzo piano. Now you're moderately soft, softer than you were the first time. And then you got some other dynamic changes in the coda. You can see those. For the roadmap, in case you're confused, the DC al coda there at the end of the 3rd line on page 21, the DC, remember, means go back to the beginning. Just don't ask questions, go to the beginning. Al coda, you go to the coda sign, and you have to find a circle with the crosshairs in it. And that is at the end of measure 12. They put a note in there, 2nd time to coda. You don't need the note. The coda sign is what you need. That's what you're after. So you're going to go down to there after you go to the beginning, and then you're immediately going to jump over to the coda, which is the last 2 lines on page 21. Speed, I got off here a little bit. Brightly, and this is where we put it in swing. It's not 1 and 2 and 3. It's 1 and 2 and 3, and we feel it this way. It's just the 8th notes, of course. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. That means these eighth notes sometimes are going to be longer than normal, and sometimes they're going to be shorter than normal. It depends on which side of this swing you're on. At the beginning, they're shorter than normal. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Because if I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, see, it lasts longer. The eighth note lasts longer, but now it's shorter. And 2 and 3, 2 and 3, and take a look at measure 5. If I go straight rhythm, it's 1 and 2 and 3. If I swing it 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3. See, the first eighth note lasts a little longer because it's on the long side of the long short. But the second eighth note's on the short side, so it's shorter. 1 and 2 and so it depends on where you are in the long short as to how long the eighth note's going to last. So you just think it 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Well, when you swing them, that limits your speed a little bit. Swing doesn't work real fast. Now, we played a piece in a concert last night that required a swing rhythm, and the conductor took it lickety-split. Now, we were struggling to try and get the note. It was just ridiculous. I think he took it way too fast. But that's interpretation. I suggest you slow it down. You can be brightly about it, but just don't go too fast on your brightly. And then, of course, they've added pedal on some of this. I think the composer's just trying to keep the pedal simple for you, because I've experimented with this and I got to change the pedal. We got to do something with the pedal here. You're starting down at the bottom. I measure 19 here. I'm going to push the pedal down right after the notes. And then changing it here. See, I don't want all that. I want to hear those two quarter notes by themselves. So I'm lifting the pedal up here. Right after I play that note, I lift the pedal up. So it's cleaner. Measure 22, I'm lifting the pedal up on the first beat. I'm not pedaling. I want that clean. They're pedaling it. It's a different effect. It depends on your interpretation of what you're after. Again, how you use the pedal is interpreting the music, but I don't like it, so I'm lifting it up on, and everywhere else I get the same kind of pattern. I'm lifting the pedal up. So the right hand is clean on these. Look at measure 26. We're here. I lift the pedal up with the hands, and I don't pedal the eighth notes. Same thing here, 2 measures later. On the eighth notes, I don't pedal the eighth notes. I don't pedal the third beat. And again, measure 30. I lift it up for the third beat. I don't need the pedal there. And measure 32. Lift the pedal up with the staccato note so we get a staccato note. And when I go do the DC outcoded, the DC to go to the beginning, I lift the pedal up with the hands so we get a little breath. It's like taking a breath, just a speck of silence. So I'm lifting the pedal up on a lot of these eighth note measures where I want to hear them clearly. Don't have to. You can pedal it just like it's shown if you prefer that sound, but I would encourage you to experiment with it and listen carefully to the sound. Which do you prefer? played this 10 times, I'd play it different every single time because I play by feel and how do I feel it, and I keep experimenting with the pedal and the dynamics and things. So play by feel. Get into where you can feel this music. Let's play it together very slowly to double check the notes and rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics. I'm going to pedal it like I suggested. I'll give us 3 counts. So we're going to do the DCL code and the whole bit. We're just not doing dynamics. We're not performing it. We're just checking notes and rhythms. 1 and ready and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Boom. Hold to the beginning. To the coda.